Long ago, nestled between the arms of two emerald hills, lay the village of Londotsi, a place where the trees spoke in whispers, rivers carried ancient songs, and the wind seemed to know everyone's name. It was a village untouched by time, where the earth was rich, and the people even richer in spirit and tradition. But even in this magical place, one soul stood out more brightly than the rest. Her name was Nia. She was no ordinary girl. While most children ran wild through the cassava fields or practiced fishing with their fathers, Nia sat quietly beneath the baobab tree, clapping her hands in strange rhythms. 1, 2, 3, pause. 1, 2. Clap, pause, clap. And when she clapped, the world listened. The birds would stop mid-flight and glide in lazy spirals above her head. The leaves of the trees rustled in perfect harmony. Even the wind would hush for a moment, as if trying not to interrupt her melody. No one had taught Nia this. It was simply in her. As natural as breath. As sacred as rain after drought. The villagers were torn. Some called her the girl with the singing hands, and believed she was touched by the spirits of the forest. They'd offer her sweet fruits and beads, hoping her hands might call rain or ease their aching bones. But others, the more cautious ones, whispered behind closed doors. Too quiet, that girl, old Mama Osha muttered one morning as Nia walked by with a bundle of herbs. Spirits don't give gifts without taking something back. Yet Nia never let the whispers reach her heart. She was kind to all, offering help where she could. She could silence a crying child with a simple rhythm on a calabash drum. Animals approached her without fear. And when she laughed, it sounded like something ancient had remembered joy again. But light, as they say, often casts long shadows. Among the children of Londotsi were 3 who watched Nia with hearts clenched tight in jealousy, or, bold and clever, Sephew, sly and silver-tongued. And Lina, whose beauty was only matched by her bitterness. To the unknowing eye, they appeared friendly, laughing with Nia, sharing roasted maize at the riverbank. But behind their smiles brewed something darker. Or wanted to be the one the village elders trusted. Sephew wanted the attention of the hunters and warriors, who instead sought Nia's advice when the birds flew too low or the frogs stopped croaking. And Lina had once been called the most enchanting girl in Londotsi, until Nia's singing hands arrived. She claps and trees shake, Lina scoffed once under her breath. Is that supposed to make her special? It's a trick, Sephew agreed. She probably learned it from that old widow who talks to frogs. But the people love her, or said grimly. And at the Moonlight Festival, she'll outshine us all again, just like last year. The Moonlight Festival was the biggest event in Londotsi. Held once a year when the moon was full and the mangoes hung fat and sweet, it was a night of dancing, music, and blessings from the ancestors. Everyone wore their finest. Drums beat until sunrise. Wishes whispered into the wind were believed to reach the heavens. And Nia had been the center of last year's festival. She'd stood barefoot in the firelight, clapping a rhythm so beautiful it made the flames sway in sync. That was the moment Sephew and Lina realized they had to do something. One humid afternoon, as dragonflies danced above the rice paddies, the 3 girls met beneath the crooked fig tree behind the granary. She'll steal the festival again, Lina said, peeling a mango and not offering to share. Not if she doesn't make it there, said Sephew, eyes glittering. Or leaned forward. You're not thinking of the Zinzi River, Sephew said. Lina froze. The cursed one. Not cursed, Sephew whispered. Guarded by a spirit, a river mother, they say. She waits for fools who cross without honor. But no one really believes that, do they? Lina asked, though her voice trembled slightly. Oh, they believe, or said. That's why no one dares to cross. Not without an offering. Not without the blessing of the wind. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of what they were thinking wrapping around them like a fog. If we convince her to cross it, or said slowly, she might not come back. Sephew cracked a wicked smile. And the Moonlight Festival would go on, without her. Lena looked at the ground, Mango forgotten. Then we must do it soon. Before she hears the drums calling. The plan was set in whispers and sealed with knots. They would invite Nia to the Zinzi River the night before the festival, under the pretense of collecting moonflowers for the elders' offering. They'd speak of unity. Of forgiveness. Of wanting to be real friends again. And Nia, kind, gentle Nia, would believe them. After all, she believed the best in everyone. That evening, Nia sat by the river's edge, humming quietly, clapping her hands softly as frogs croaked in time. The moonlight silvered her dark braids, and her eyes sparkled like dew. She didn't notice the three figures watching her from the shadows, their faces marked in fake smiles. The wind rustled the tall grass, as if trying to warn her. But Nia only smiled, her hands tapping a rhythm older than memory. She had no idea that danger, like the river, could appear so calm on the surface, crossing the river of secrets. The sun had barely begun to set when the three girls found Nia under the whispering leaves of the baobab tree. She was clapping a gentle rhythm to a group of toddlers, their eyes wide with wonder as butterflies circled above their heads, moving in perfect sync with her beat. Nia, awkward, flashing her most innocent smile. "We were hoping to talk to you." Nia stood, brushing the red dust from her skirt. "Of course. What's going on?" Sephew chimed in, her voice dripping with honey. "We were thinking, the Moonlight Festival is tomorrow, and we've been asked to gather moonflowers from across the Zinzi River. We'd love for you to come with us," Lena added, clasping her hands. "We thought it could be special. Just the four of us." Nia blinked in surprise. After so long on the outskirts of their circle, their invitation felt like an unexpected gift. Her heart leapt at the thought of finally being included. "I'd love to," she said, smiling brightly. The girls beamed in return, though their smiles were stitched with something colder. That night, they helped Nia prepare. They braided her hair, painted her cheeks with white clay patterns, and tied glass beads around her wrists and ankles. Her reflection shimmered in the water pot, radiant, hopeful. As the moon crested above the hills, they slipped through the quiet village and down the narrow path toward the Zinzi River. The air buzzed with the scent of wild ginger and distant drumbeats. They crossed the river carefully, hopping from stone to stone. Nia paused midway to watch the moon's reflection ripple on the surface. A breeze curled around her like a whisper, but she didn't hear what it said. The others had brought offerings, small things tucked quietly into their satchels. Dried herbs. A carved token. A song folded into a strip of cloth. These they would offer to the spirit upon returning. Nia brought only her rhythm and her dreams. The festival was a storm of light and sound. The foreign village pulsed with music and joy. Nia clapped her hands and danced, and the crowd parted around her in awe. Her voice carried through the night like a bird call, smooth and free. Children followed her, trying to match her steps. Elders blessed her with palm oil marks. Even a traveling storyteller bowed in admiration. "She is touched by the ancestors," someone whispered. "She is the festival." Oh, Sephew and Lena watched from the shadows. Their plan, which was supposed to erase her, had only made her shine brighter. Lena clenched her fist. "She always gets more than she deserves." Sephew's voice was low and bitter. "This ends tonight." As the celebration faded, the girls pulled Nia away from the firelight. "It's late," O said. "We should head back." "Yes," Nia agreed, her feet aching but her spirit alight. "Thank you both. This meant so much to me." They said nothing. When they reached the Zinzi River again, it looked different, darker somehow, more awake. The moonlight couldn't pierce its depths now. Each of the girls reached into their bags and pulled out their small offerings. Quietly, they dropped them by the riverbank, avoiding Nia's eyes. She, distracted and weary, stepped onto the stones. "Nia," Sephew called sweetly. "Would you like to go first?" She nodded and smiled, her mind still full of music. Halfway across the river, the wind stopped. The frogs grew silent. The water below her shimmered like broken glass. Then a voice, soft and ancient, whispered from below, "Where is your gift?" Before she could answer, a hand of silver and shadow burst from the water and seized her ankle. Nia screamed. But her scream never reached the far bank. The river swallowed her whole. And the moon turned away. The river takes what it owed. For a long moment, the river went still. No bubbles. No ripples. Just silence so thick, even the frogs held their breath. Then came the scream. It echoed faintly across the water. Short, sharp, and swallowed by the wind. By the time the girls glanced back over their shoulders, Nia was gone. No splash. No flutter of fabric. Just the dark, undisturbed surface of the Zinzi River, shimmering like a mirror too ashamed to show its reflection. Oh, Sephew, and Lina stood frozen. Sephew broke the silence first. She just vanished. Or turned pale. It worked. Lina's lips parted, but no words came. Somewhere deep in her gut, her anger cracked just slightly, just enough to let a drop of guilt in. But only a drop. "Let's go," or whispered, clutching her offering pouch with shaky fingers. Now. They didn't run. Running would look suspicious. They walked, slowly, carefully, their eyes ahead and hearts racing. The Moonlight Festival's drum still beat faintly in the distance, unaware of what the river had claimed. Morning in Londotsi came gently, with golden light and the scent of dew-kissed maize. But Nia's home remained quiet. Her mother, Mola, noticed first. Nia was always an early riser. The birds would barely finish their first chorus, and Nia would already be outside, clapping rhythms to the sun. But this morning, there was no rhythm. No smile. No footsteps. Just silence. At first, Mola thought she might be at the river, maybe gathering flowers or helping a neighbor. But as the sun climbed higher and Nia did not return, worry set in like a cold hand on the back of her neck. By midday, Mola was knocking on doors. By evening, the entire village was searching. And by sundown, worry had bloomed into panic. At the elders' gathering hut, the three girls spun their tale. "She left just before us," Sephew said smoothly. "Said she was going to walk back alone." "She looked tired," Lina added, her hands twisting nervously. "We thought she'd be safe." Or bowed her head. "We are just as shocked as everyone. We thought she was home already." The elders exchanged glances, concern etched deep into their weathered faces. "Nia would not disappear without a word," said Elder Jebari, frowning. But with no proof of wrongdoing, no footprints to follow, and no sign of Nia, the story held, for now. Mola, however, wasn't convinced. The mother knows. She could feel it in her bones, as if her heart had been yanked from her chest and dragged underwater. Meanwhile, beneath the river, Nia opened her eyes. But this was not the world she knew. She floated, weightless, through a dream spun from water and memory. The air shimmered like glass, fish swam through archways carved from coral and bone, and above her, the river's surface glowed like a distant sky. She drifted into a palace of seaweed and silence, where everything pulsed with forgotten songs. Then she saw her. Mama Moji. A figure seated on a throne of driftwood and pearl, her hair curled like rivers, her skin the color of midnight tides, eyes glowing like stormlight. She was beautiful. Terrible. A goddess sculpted from sorrow. Nia tried to speak, but the water swallowed her words. Mama Moji raised a hand, and Nia could suddenly breathe again, though they were still beneath the river. "You crossed my waters," the spirit said. Her voice was not loud, but it echoed as if spoken through generations. I didn't know," Nia whispered, eyes wide. "That is not my concern. The river takes what it is owed. The customs were made before your mother's mother was born. I meant no harm." Mama Moji's eyes narrowed. "Neither did I. Once." She rose from her throne and circled Nia slowly. Around them, images shimmered in the water, memories from a lifelong past. A younger woman. A healer. A lover. A betrayal. Mama Moji paused before a memory where a group of villagers mocked her, branded her gifts as witchcraft, cast her from their lands. "They feared me," she said quietly. "So they cursed me. Bound me to the river as punishment for a heart that only tried to heal." Nia stared, heartbreaking. "And now," Mama Moji continued, "I gather those who forget the old ways. Who take the river for granted. Who offer nothing and still dare to take. But I didn't take. You took your joy. You took your freedom. You took the path without a gift. That is enough." With a wave of her hand, silver chains made of kelp and starlight wrapped around Nia's wrists and ankles. They glowed faintly, pulsing in time with her heartbeat. "You will serve here," Mama Moji said. "Not forever. But long enough to remember. Long enough to understand what it means to be forgotten." And just like that, Nia was bound, not in hatred, but in the sorrow of an ancient wound. She would sweep the palace floors with coral brooms. Sing to the fish so they'd remember their names. Tend to Mama Moji's garden of lost offerings, gifts left by villagers long ago, faded with time. And though she could not see the sky, Nia began to hum again. Because even here, beneath the weight of the river, her hands still knew how to sing. The echo of truth. The absence of Nia left a hush over Landotsi. Not just any hush, an eerie, heavy silence. The kind that creeps into your bones and whispers, something is not right. And no one felt it more sharply than Tumo, Nia's younger brother. While most thought Nia had simply wandered or run off, Tumo knew better. He knew the way she always made her bed. How she never missed morning claps with the birds. How she promised to take him to the next festival and braid his hair with blue beads like hers. She wouldn't just leave, he whispered to himself. She promised. And promises, in Landotsi, were sacred. So Tumo, just barely taller than a goat and twice as stubborn, began to investigate. He asked the neighbors. He retraced her steps. He even went to the edge of the Zinzi River, where the air felt cooler and the trees bent lower, as if they, too, were in mourning. That's when he heard a voice. I saw what they did. Tumo spun around. Who's there? Silence. Then, slow steps on stone, and from under a cluster of wild ginger, out waddled a turtle. Not just any turtle. This one wore a necklace of river stones and had eyes like old moons. Hello? Tumo asked, unsure whether to run or fetch a stick. The turtle blinked slowly. Name's Ngozi, he said. And you, little drummer boy, are about to rattle some bones. Tumo gaped. You, talk. Ngozi smacked. At least, as much as a turtle can smack. Not always. But when things go sideways in the river, I'm usually the first to spill the tea. Over the next few days, Tumo followed Ngozi as he slinked behind Sefiu, and Lina. The turtle rarely spoke plainly, but his riddles were sharp and sticky. 3 went out with gifts in tow. 1 returned with a heart-song glow. They danced, they lied, their eyes aglow. But the river knows. The river knows. Ngozi would sing little couplets like that while hiding under baskets or sipping rain from plantain leaves. Tumo quickly realized this turtle wasn't just clever, he knew everything. One night, Tumo followed the girls to the back of the granary where they whispered in hushed tones. "We should have told someone," Lina said, her voice tight. "It's too late," said O. "She's gone. The river took her." Tumo's heart slammed into his ribs. "They knew," he breathed. "They knew." The next morning, Tumo stood before the village elders, fist clenched, chest puffed with determination that outweighed his small frame. "They lied," he declared. "They led my sister to the river and didn't tell her about the offering." Mola gasped, nearly dropping her water jar. The villagers stirred. "What proof do you have?" asked Elder Jebori. Before Tumo could speak, a familiar shuffle echoed through the gathering. Ngozi emerged from the crowd, wearing a banana peel like a crown. "Shall I sing you the song?" he croaked. And so, with a voice scratchy but sure, Ngozi repeated the words the girls had said that night, mimicking their tones and trembling confessions. "He should be wearing a wig for how good that impersonation is," muttered one onlooker. O turned pale. Sefu tried to deny it. Lina sobbed. But the damage was done. Their silence was guilt. Their stammering was proof. And Mola. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She simply walked to the village edge and summoned an old friend, a seer named Kozi, who lived in a hut woven into the trees. Kozi had one eye that glowed like firelight and another that drifted lazily, watching things others could not see. "She's not lost," Kozi said softly after Mola explained. "She's beneath. Beneath. In the river. In the palace of Momomoji. But not gone. Not yet." Mola's breath caught. "Can I bring her back?" Kozi's face darkened. "You can try. But it will take more than love. It will take truth, courage, and an offering no one has ever dared to give." Mola stood tall, her eyes burning with purpose. "Then I will give it." And with that, the mother of the girl with the singing hands began her journey to the river, not with fear, but with fire in her heart. The Trial of Waters and the Song of Mercy. The stars hung low like watchful ancestors as Mola and Tumo stood before the edge of the Zinzi River. Its waters shimmered like a dream just out of reach, beautiful, vast, and heavy with secrets. Ngozi, the ever-helpful turtle spirit, gave a final nod from the shadows. "I've led many here," he said quietly. "Few return with what they came for." "We don't come to plead," Mola whispered. "We come to prove." With her head held high and heart heavy with hope, she stepped forward. "Mama Moji. River Mother. Hear me." The wind stilled. The frogs fell silent. Even the trees leaned in, holding their breath. Then, she rose. Mama Moji appeared, her form lifting from the water like a memory come to life. Her hair flowed like waves in a storm, her eyes glowed with ancient ache. "You returned for the girl," she said, her voice like thunder muffled by distance. "She is my daughter," Mola said firmly. "Take me if you must, but let her go." The spirit's expression didn't change. "I do not trade in lives. I demand truth. And payment in full." Tumo stepped forward. "We are not afraid." Mama Moji studied him, a flicker of curiosity in her eyes. "Then you shall face the test." She raised her hand, and the river parted, not dry, but clear, like walking through the sky itself. "Cross my waters," she said. "But not with strength, nor fear. Cross with song." Mola blinked. "Song. Sing the song of first rain. The lullaby sung only by those whose hearts beat as one." The villagers behind them gasped. That song was nearly forgotten. Only the oldest mothers remembered fragments of its tune. But Mola remembered. With a voice rough from grief but steady with love, she began. Musical note. When the sky cries low and the rivers run wide, I carry your name on the wind's soft stride. My arms your shelter, my voice your flame. Come back to the world that still knows your name. Musical note. Her voice cracked, but then, to her left, two more joined in. Musical note. Rain may fall, but love will rise. Even in silence, your heart replies. Musical note. The song rippled across the water like a spell. Mama Moji's glowing eyes shimmered, not with power, but with memory. She clutched her chest. A vision flickered behind her, a child long gone, laughter echoing in another lifetime. Her own daughter, taken before her curse had sealed her fate. The river spirit trembled. Enough, she whispered, her voice trembling. You have passed. With a sweep of her hand, the river glowed, then burst upward in a spiraling column of water and light. At the center was Nia. Her eyes opened slowly, wide and full of wonder. Mama, she said, dazed but safe. Mola ran into the water, arms open, pulling her child into a crushing embrace. Tumo wrapped around them both, crying and laughing at once. Mama Moji watched from her throne of mist. Her face, once stone, now held a sad, fragile peace. I release her, she said. And I bless your river, as I was once blessed. She faded into the water, leaving behind only ripples and a faint melody on the wind. Back in Londotsi, the village rejoiced. Nia had returned. The truth of her disappearance came to light, and the betrayal of Sefiu and Lina was no longer whispered, it was known. The elders stood before the guilty trio and gave judgment not with chains, but with consequence. You shall walk, Elder Jabari said, until your hearts are light enough to float. Until you learn the weight of envy, and how to shed it. Exiled with nothing but the dust on their souls, the three disappeared into the horizon, faces heavy with regret. In time, the Zinzi River flowed not with fear, but with reverence. Children tossed petals into its waters. Women sang lullabies at its edge. And when the first rains came, everyone stopped to listen, just in case Mama Moji was still listening too. As for Nia, her rhythm returned. But now, her hands clapped with wisdom. Her voice held the hush of water and the strength of stone. She forgave the girls, not because she forgot, but because her heart had become deeper than the river that tried to take her. The village listened more closely when she sang. And every time she walked the path between the baobabs, the wind followed, humming softly. In the rhythm of the girl with the singing hands. The end.